Hi Clever Pickles, welcome to today's handwriting where we are using the letter Q to practice our handwriting. This is the second last video in the series if you've been following them in order, so this might be a good time to go back through your book and check how you've improved and look at some of the notes that might have been left for you and see how you've been doing, and I'm sure you will see that you have made really good improvement. So let's start off today with how we normally start, which is the long date, which is just our warm-up. So remember, I don't use a real date. I'm just making up a date off the top of my head at the moment. So I'm going to go with Tuesday. Whatever your date is for you, make sure you're accurately writing the long date. So I'm going to say today is Tuesday. I'm going to say it's the 5th. And I'm going to pretend it's April. I don't know if it is April at the moment, wherever you are. No, it can't be, because it is now May. It was the 1st of May yesterday. For me, anyway. Okay. Now I can see there I didn't really form my zero quite accurately there, and I've made some mistakes in my other parts there, but I'm not going to worry about it because this was just my warm-up. Let's start with the capital letter Q. And you should be able to do this one easily because we've practiced this circular shape that we're about to use many times. So what I'd like you to do is start at the top, come around in that oval shape, and then in this bottom section here, which we call the grass, a little diagonal line. That's the Q. That's all you need to do. So let's do that again. Oval shape round and the line down for Q. And you need to make sure that that line is big enough to be able to see it, otherwise the person reading it might think it's a capital O. So let's try that again. Now, some people might do this, that big oval round shape, which is going to end up making your letter too big. It's still easy to see that it's a Q, it's just not necessarily your neatest or most accurate writing. So let's try that again, using an oval shape and a line. I've done 4 and we need to do 6. So I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do one that's too small though to show you. See how this one's not touching that top line and this one's not touching that bottom line there? That's not quite accurate. So make sure when you're doing this, you're touching the top section and you're touching that bottom section there, and all of those should look about the same. Okay, let's try a lowercase q. So we're going to start with an anti-clockwise shape, the same way that we start an A, and we're going to bring that line all the way down with a little flick at the end. So let's try that. Starting off like an A, bring it down and flick up. And you want to make that flick stop about halfway in this ground section. So for those of you that haven't remembered, this is our grass here, the main body of our letters, the sky, and then down here where our tail and flick is going is the ground. So let's try this again. Starting off much like an A, bring the line down and flick it up. And we're going to do that 6 times. If you're doing it too big and too rushed, that's what you're going to end up with, and that's not your most accurate writing. I've done 4, 5, and 6. Okay, moving on now to some words that start with the letter Q. And usually wherever Q is, you will follow. So let's start with the word quick. Q, U, I. Don't forget to dot your I. And then our K that we learnt a while back. Quick. Let's go for queen. Now, if you were actually naming a queen, you would need to use a capital, but if I'm just using the word without the name, I don't need it. Now my little flick there is not the best it could be, but if I go back and try and go over the top of it, I'm likely to make a bigger mess, so I'm just going to leave it and move on and try and remember it for the next time I'm doing it, which is right now with the word quilt. Remembering finger spaces in between these words. Don't forget to dot your I and cross your T. Okay, let's try some bigger words now where Q and U are in the middle of the word. Let's start with conquer. So a queen or a king might conquer a city. Not necessarily these days, but definitely in history they have. Conquer. Our next word is equal. Like when you share some chocolate with friends, you will definitely want it to be equal. Our next one is plaque. Much like plaque that could be on your teeth, or a plaque that's a sign. These words are a little bit trickier because they don't quite look the way that they sound. Okay, our last line, which is our fun line where we get to do some decorating and drawing. We're going to use the capital Q to draw a picture now. So that means I need to do 6 of these using my finger spaces. Still slowing down, concentrating. Just because it's the last one doesn't mean that I rush it. And just because it's the last one doesn't mean I don't concentrate as much as I could. So now that I've got 6 letter Qs, I am going to cut them into quarters. So I'm going to cut this one and show 1/4 because quarter starts with a Q. I'm going to use a different color for this one. I'm going to cut these ones into quarters. Let's try pink. I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to put quarter on this side now. And this, oh, that was not a very good cut. Let's try that again. And then I'm going to cut this one into a quarter down the bottom. And the last one, I'm going to use a brown and cut this into a quarter down here. Excellent. Thanks for joining in, guys. I'll see you in the next lesson.